Hello, it's me. Surprise, surprise. I am releasing this vlog after the one that talked about um, maybe going a little bit quiet for a bit and then no longer vlogging. But I decided to get right into it. I wanted to come back into vlogging because I know in the past, and even when I consider the older videos on my channel that are now deleted, I think that in the past I was always wired kind of more somebody that gave up easily. So if things were bad, I was just really living in defeat in my mind, and it was just very easy for me to give up. And so with doing this, with continuing on with vlogging, I'd like to think, and I hope it can be a way of me continuing to just be resilient, even though there are some storms in the background. I'm kind of tired today because I did a video for this without any of my makeup or how I look, but I am recovering from very strong vertigo that I had waking up early this morning. I haven't been drinking water that nicely, or I just haven't been drinking enough water these past few days, and I feel like today was just that. This morning was pretty much a sign, and just that, sense of, I'm trying to find the wording for it, but basically what I'm trying to say is I'm recovering from the vertigo, and I took medicine for it, and the medicine is made me drowsy, and I forgot the medicine tends to make you drowsy. So I believe the name for it is Dramamine, and it's anti-nausea, anti-dizzy, anti-motion sickness medicine. So it usually makes you drowsy. So the one that I have, I think it might have said drowsy. I don't remember, but it might have said non-drowsy. So I think if it's non-drowsy, I might be tired because of just feeling very lethargic and dizzy from, the vertigo. And I explain a little bit more in the video upcoming. So now this video, I wanted it to be horizontal. I actually have my gimbal here for the phone. My bad, I almost hit my face. I have it here, but I thought it was good to go because I charged it for a bit last time, but then it ended up dying on me, so it's on me to not have charged it before this recording. And it kind of sucks because the videos that are like this, there's the black space around it, but it doesn't matter. I think for coming back, I know that one of my biggest goals to just come back to this channel is to motivate other people, or continue to motivate people. Now my belief system has kind of changed. I'm going through something that I've written about at the time of making this video called The Dark Night of the Soul. So when I release this video, I'll release a link to that blog. And you can just keep me in prayer, but it's a very bitter season for me spiritually. And I also created a playlist, curated a playlist on my music platform. So these songs I obviously do not own, but these are tracks that are helping me get through this dark period spiritually, and hopefully can help you get through your own spiritual crises and whatnot. So, excuse me, like I've said in different videos, time and time again, a lot of the times I tend to burp in my videos, and I don't know, it's just, I drink some water. I know that I'm trying to eat, but when you are recovering from vertigo, there's certain foods that you should avoid. And I was reading today that these foods are, the unhealthy stuff, that has a lot of salt and a lot of sugar. And I was geared on grabbing a burger and fries today. And I had 2 hot dogs this morning, so I've not been eating too healthy. But I know they talked about fruits and veggies, and I'm sorry, I'm like so tired trying to make this video. But I gotta go ahead and get the good food to recover. Who's here with me today is my little Spider-Man plush doll. I got this doll from Jewel Osco, and he's gonna be hanging out with me because I do want to talk a little bit about my Spider-Man projects, or my Spider-Man fan film project. And this week, Brand New Day is set to release Friday, and my plan is to maybe see it Saturday because I'll be working Friday, and I might be tired going to the theater. Or like there's a theater next to us, so I could probably go to a late showing and like chill. But then I hope that I don't do a lot of work that day and then like come home and I'm so tired. So yeah, going back to my mission for these vlogs is to continue to inspire people, but to also really offer insight into different things, offer different perspectives into different things, various things in life. I'm pausing and reflecting. Eckhart Tolle likes to do this. I love that he does. He's somebody that when you watch him, he's just taking time to talk, and then he'll continue when he needs to. So I'm kind of learning from that. So just, I think I am all done with what I wanted to say, but I'm also trying to make sure that I'm not speaking from fatigue. Another thing is he tends to speak slowly, which I like too. I speak fast, so I can mush my words together, but he takes his time with each wording or words, and that helps. I started to do that a little bit just now, and I was able to kind of concentrate a little bit more on what I wanted to say. So I know that I want to go on with the perspectives and the motivational stuff, and so this video will feature a little bit of motivation, but I also want to go ahead and apologize for past videos being all over the place. And give me a moment. So tired. I don't mind showing this. I feel like I have not really eaten well. So like my body is like, I need energy, I need food, I need to like go on. And also this vertigo, it really knocked me out. Like I was so gone in the morning. Just taking a deep breath. But I'm back. I just felt like I needed to just close my eyes and just pause for a moment because I'm feeling it. Something that I thought about too is one day I want to be a mother. I want to be a mom. And obviously, as you get older, your body is changing. Your body changes in different ways. So I was reconsidering why I was getting vertigo in the morning, and I realized because it was too hot and I didn't drink enough water. And as a kid, you could get away with stuff like that. But it was just this distinct feeling that felt like a warning about be careful doing this while you're pregnant. It was when this happened, I felt that very strongly in the morning. And, in my heart, yeah, I really I really want to be a mom. And so it hit me that, yeah, like I can't be playing the same games that I do now when I'm pregnant, because imagine if I was pregnant, like what would this feel like if I was having my little one? And I'm scared to think about that because I've heard of nausea. I've heard of, with women experiencing nausea, forehead is itchy, in pregnancy, and different changes, I've read of stories from women so I'm part of some parent groups on Reddit, especially like groups geared on helping moms deal with postpartum life and newborn care. So I am a part of some of the newborn groups, and I've been around mothers. I have friends that are mothers, And and just hearing from like my one friend who's way older than me, she was talking about her kids. She said, I just didn't want to get pregnant anymore. I didn't enjoy it, you know? And I think about that, like pregnancy can be very hard and very brutal for so many women. There's so many women that were pregnant maybe even once and they don't want to do it again because it just took such a huge toll on their bodies. And like for me, I see the thing with pregnancy is I I say this now, not being pregnant, you know, like never having children. But the parents out there know better than me. And I've heard many parents tell me to wait, including relatives, like just to wait to have a child because it's a lot. And part of these newborn groups, part of being a part of these newborn groups and these parent-reddit groups is observing and learning from them so much about what it means to take care of to take care of your child at the newborn stage. And apparently it's brutal. And I know I'm not just talking about the crying, but the phases that happen within, you know, taking care of your newborn. Like obviously your baby's going to grow, but there's certain stages that are actually hard. For instance, the newborn trenches. So I've been reading a little bit about that in these groups. And this is when it's supposedly 6 to 8 weeks 6 to 8 are the hardest weeks as a newborn parent. Those are weeks that are brutal. And I've been reading that from different moms about how they're in week 6 or week 7 or 8. And they're asking other moms, they're like, how did you do it? I feel like I can't get through this. It's so hard. And a lot of it sounds like it's, from what I've read, like the sleep deprivation can be very like full on, like you're not getting any sleep at all. And I've read from other mothers that have talked about really not sleeping for like 4 weeks, like 5 weeks. And reading that stuff scares me because it's like, wow, like I want a child, but to have one, it's like no joke. You have to be mentally, emotionally there, and you have to be, I even feel physically prepared for it because postpartum, what I've also been learning about postpartum life through these amazing parents or these amazing women is how much it changes your life, you know, having a child. And I know that's cliche to say, but really, no, it changes everything. And I spoke to a new dad in person because I asked him about how life is like with his baby. And he was young. And then he said, with the baby, you know, forget your time. Like everything is around around the baby. And he was so nice about it. He wasn't like being mean or regretful or anything like that. But he was like, you know, like there's no break. Like it's just about baby. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I believe you. Like, I totally believe you. And so even watching my own mom take care of us and even my little brother, there is no break. And I want to go ahead and say special needs parenting is like a whole new level of parenting. That to me, that these parents are heroes, including my mom, and she did it by herself mostly. And so to just go through that, because there really is no break. There's no break at all in whatever time, age. It's like that child, that beautiful child, because I really have a soft heart for special needs kids. They need you all the time, even as they get older. And I feel like this is the case with children too, you know, functional children. And I don't mean functional as an insult. It's more like, you know, like they're not like special needs children. They're pretty much normal. They're able to like, we still need our parents basically, but like with special needs children, it's like way more than that, like way more, like a lot of time, a lot of investment, and really there is no break. And it can be very brutal. It can be very challenging. I've seen the TikTok videos of mothers coming forward and really venting and crying their eyes out because of how difficult it is. And there's no shame shown to those moms. Like, I usually feel for them. I feel helpless watching moms, whether moms of special needs children or just moms come on and just vent and cry about motherhood. And I've really read, I would say most stories in these parent groups, especially the mom groups, they can be pretty negative, and not saying like, oh, they're Debbie Downers, but it's like what they're experiencing is so hard for a lot of them. And your eyes are opened into what motherhood may look like. It's not all roses, it's not glam, it's not the ideal picture we have in our minds. Even me, I still have an ideal feeling of motherhood, but it's like it is something. If you're not prepared, it can be really brutal. And so, like, for me, I want to keep learning from these mothers. What I've also noticed is it really matters who you marry. That matters a lot. It matters a lot, because if you're married to somebody that is not a good support system, especially postpartum, it will really enhance the pain a lot, the postpartum difficulties by a lot. And I've been getting to learn from these women that come forward and talk about what's going on. And a lot of their partners, some of these partners have switched up on them. So in the beginning, everything was fine until when the baby came, it was like, wow, like there's so much being being shown through this person, like the things that the person they were is not the person they are now. But my heart goes to both parents, because I do believe, I'm going to say something controversial. Postpartum depression definitely exists for women, and I feel like it's super enhanced with all the biological changes, like your hormones changing, your body changing, recovery from giving birth. So, you have women that had C-sections or surgeries, C-section surgery to, give birth. And then you have women that did go into labor and they gave birth naturally. But it could have been a difficult labor, or there was significant tearing, right? And so there's all this recovery. I'm following a couple birth channels too. So there is one Instagram, a couple birth Instagrams. There's one that I almost got in trouble with on the bus, because when I opened up my Instagram, there was a birth happening right there and then on the page, and it doesn't conceal anything. It shows everything. So the mom is giving birth and they show everything, and I'm on the bus and there's somebody right behind me, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like, they're gonna think I'm watching something else, But like, I really appreciate these pages a lot, because I've been learning through watching, a natural birth, you've seen everything. And it's so interesting. There's things that I didn't know happens during labor. I did not know that, for instance, this might be a little bit weird or disturbing, but you can be your child is on their way out of you as a mother, woman, whatever. And I did see a video of a baby that was in the process of being born, and their head was out, right? So the doulas or the birth workers are there helping this mom give birth, and the baby begins to cry. So the baby starts crying while the head is out. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this poor beauty, it's not, the poor baby is not completely out. And so, but she did give birth. She gave birth to a beautiful, healthy baby, the mother. And the whole thing to me was beautiful. I find birth and just the ability to give birth a very beautiful thing. I find motherhood to be beautiful. And my heart, I have a sensitive spot for mothers. Like I've been around women lately, and they'll have babies and they'll be taking care of them. And like, I've had opportunities to like maybe hold the door for them or just be nice to them in some way. And like, my heart is for them. And I'm like, she's a mom, she has her little babies with her and everything. And so, and then even like meeting pregnant ladies or pregnant women, it's like, oh, your baby's on the way, this is amazing. So I just love pregnancy, and and just birth. I just love watching. I love newborns. I love babies. And I love and adore newborns. They're just so cute in every way. I know that I've seen several birth videos. This is after they're born. And so the med teams are taking care of them. They have to do the tests, and whatever. And you just see them and they're pretty helpless and pretty scared, And what I've learned, so I was a baby's, I guess this is funny because this is more of a sit and chat with me. I'm talking about babies. So as a baby assistant teacher for 1 year, I did it for a short-term year because I had a gradual knee injury emerge. I have something called patellofemoral syndrome, and it can be pretty painful if I do a lot of walking, and it popped up during then and cost me my job. But I loved the babies, and we did have a few criers. We had one crier. It was a girl, and she was amazing. I loved her. And then I started loving the babies' cries, like certain babies' cries. It was so cute how some of them would cry, and I'm like, oh my goodness, it's so beautiful. And so what I learned, it was, for me, first I will say this, it was amazing watching how different each baby was from each other. Like, I know we're so used to categorizing babies as the same, but babies really are very, very different. Like they're like they're little us, Well, they are human, but what I'm trying to say is they're just like us older. No baby's the same. They have their own way of doing things. And I witnessed this as a baby teacher. It was really cool to see how each baby did things and how they interacted with you. And they really do have personalities. I found this out. I was learning a little bit about this. And I asked one of the AI machines, ChatGPT or Google. But it's true that babies have personalities, and I read that they show temperament even at birth. So there is a difference with babies even birth, after birth, or post birth, or whatever. And I've been learning this through the different birth videos that I've been watching. So, for instance, there was a video of some newborn videos that I saw of the doctor, and he's an amazing doctor. So what he was doing to this baby was he was needing to clamp the umbilical cord in order to cut it, right? So he did it for one baby, and that baby let out a little scream. Like, it was such a unique thing to see, but they did a little scream, and it's no joke. I hope I can find this video again. But they got startled and they started to cry. So in the clamp sound, it's kind of loud. So he clamped the sound and the baby let out a little scream. And it was so cute. But then he did it to another baby. He did the same thing, and that baby didn't cry at all. In fact, that baby was very calm. So I realized, I'm like, hey, wait a minute. This one cried. This one didn't. And it's the same with the other baby. So, and then in this Instagram or YouTube, he has both Instagram and YouTube, they show the babies bathing post-birth. Now, I read somewhere here that you're not supposed to do that. I don't know what works. I read that post-birth, they don't really take baths, but I have seen different hospitals give newborns, a bath. So I'm not sure what it is. So I have to really look into that. But I know that the amniotic fluid, or like when they're born all white, that white stuff that is over them, that's pretty important. That's what I read somewhere, that it's very important. It contains it contains essential vitamins or something important. I can't find the words, but that white stuff that covers them when they're born is actually important. But I know that hospitals, they like I've seen them give babies a bath, so I'm not sure if it's good or bad. But in this platform that I follow, the guy and his med team, they give the babies a bath. And you'll see some babies are crying and whimpering because they don't like it. And then there's some babies that are just really calm. Like they like it, or they just are, just being able to take it. So that's kind of like, it reminded me of what the AI had told me. And it said that babies, they'll showcase temperament. Like they're already, it's like there's little personalities there, but of course over time it'll just come out more and more as they get older, right? And so you think about children too, like preschool, children in preschool or kindergarten, toddlers even. You'll see like they're very different from each other. They're not the same. And there's a lot of factors that can play into this too. But it was amazing to see these babies just be so different from each other. And I never forget our crier. She was just crying and crying in her chair. And one baby was just looking at her for a while. And I've seen different videos of babies doing that. Like there's one that's crying a lot and the baby's just looking, like wondering what's going on, And then we had a baby that was really friendly, a very friendly baby. If you interacted with him, he would just smile at you. He was the best baby in the room, like always in a good, positive mood. Anyone that came near him, he would give them a huge smile. And he even liked getting along with other babies. So we found him with another baby smiling and laughing. And it was so cute to see that. And I just miss my babies. I get emotional thinking about them because I really love them. They were so amazing. I loved how determined some were. We had one baby that was determined to sit up. Like she was like trying, but she wasn't there yet. But we were like helping her. We would pick up her little arms as she sat up. And then when she'd get back on her back, like she would be trying. She was pretty determined about like, being able to sit up and like move. And I realized, and our crier too. I remember holding her one day and she stopped crying. And she would do that. There were times where she'd stop crying. Then there were times where she would just cry. And we were trying to figure out why she was crying. We did everything. And we determined that it was the new environment. Like she just was a baby that couldn't take the new environment. Maybe she wanted to just be back home with her mom and her parents. So this same baby, we like held her, and she wanted to stand up. She just was somebody that just wanted to stand up, but she was maybe 4 months, so she wasn't there. But you can tell that she was determined to just get there. And I realized with toddlers, like them running and walking, even though that stage scares me, they would tell me, they're like, wait until they start running and walking. And I get nervous because I'm like, what if like they fall and injure themselves and like I don't catch one, And we did have one on the way to walking. She would crawl. She was a crawler, and she would go here, there. And she was somebody that loved other babies too. She liked getting to know the other babies. And we had to kind of move her away a bit because she would like grab their face or like or whatnot. But it was cute because she was like getting to know them, There is one video I should mention, a baby video, where they were doing tests for the little ones, these babies. And it was like a little mock fake fall test. So they would place the baby on a table or somewhere where it was steep, and see if the baby would work to get down. Because where they were at, it was like a little baby gym, but they put them on a high up or place or steep place in this baby gym, and they wanted to see which baby would get down by themselves in whatever way, and the others that maybe would hesitate. And there were some babies that had reached like the cliff part of this gym or whatever, and they were scared. They didn't want to go down. They were afraid. But you had other babies that were like more like they would do it by themselves. And so like I know that there's something called milestones with babies, and that's something that I'd like to learn. I guess I'd like to learn about infant development, child development, and really get to know the milestones, because when I give birth, when I have my own baby, if I'm lucky to find somebody, and because I'm single, um, then I can be a mother like that is observing these milestones and everything. And but I understand with mothers out there, you know, you know the deal. You know way more than me, and I hope it's been a good one. And um, I'm also sorry to a lot of moms, because in some of these parent groups, kind of switching topics from talking about babies back into the parent groups, there are so many mothers that have come forward and talked about how they do not like motherhood. They don't enjoy it, or it's been traumatic. And I feel very sad and sorry for these moms. And it's not to shame them, it's just to kind of validate that with them, it was a very hard experience. It was really hard. And I'd like to think that some of these moms probably did not have great support. They didn't have a great support system, and they were left by themselves to do it all by themselves. And a lot of moms within the group will say things like, this is not meant for you to be going, like, you're not supposed to be doing it all on your own. Like, it takes a village, like they say. And but I will also say this, wealthy moms, rich moms, because I saw some of them come on TikTok and say that I enjoy motherhood. The secret is to have money. And I'm like, well, that makes sense. I mean, you do want to have money as a mother. And I'd imagine being a wealthy, rich mom would just make things a billion times easier. And if you really think about it, yeah, really. I mean, to be able to afford help, and to be able to afford cooking and cleaning aids, like I thought to myself, like, if I were to work really hard one day and to make money, to get out of my financial darkness, I'm being real about that. I would like to be able to make enough money to afford like a maid or maids or cleaners once a week, or like once a month. Well, once a month is no, I couldn't do that, but like at least weekly. And then afford food, to buy food rather than cook it, especially dealing with a newborn or kids that are very young, because there's no time to, sometimes you're so busy. This is just me coming from these groups and reading from these Reddit groups. You're so busy with the kids, there's no break. Like, I've read of many mothers and heard them in person say, I didn't brush my teeth. I couldn't brush my teeth. I didn't take a shower, or I couldn't take a shower, because I'm constantly tending to the baby or to the infant or to these kids. And so to be able to afford food, to be able to afford like buying food to eat for your kids and yourself rather than cooking. And then even affording like maybe a night nanny if things get really hard, like you just can't do it, affording like nighttime care. So, but yeah, there's all these different benefits and amazing things that come with having money. And so these rich moms on TikTok, they were not snobby, but they were more like coming on and saying that I love motherhood and the secret is just to have money. But you do have some moms too that maybe they're not wealthy, they're not rich like that, but they would come on and talk about how they love their babies. And I'd see some of these posts in the Reddit group, like they're enjoying everything. They love being a mom. They love being a mother. So I feel like there is no right or wrong with this, because it really is, it's about your experience. It's about like certain circumstances that surround you. So if birth or labor was really hard, and then postpartum life is like super hard, then I can understand why a mother would say like they don't want to do it again because of everything that went down. And something that I want to talk about too with what I've learned is that, the woman's body changes significantly. Like, she is not going to be the same post labor. And there are so many women that come on and talk about these changes and how tired they feel all the time, and how maybe their mental health has gone down, and how they're not usually in a mood to, like, do things with their partners. Their libido has like just dropped. And I read from some women that talked about how they had high libido, and then post birth, post labor, it just dropped, like it's non existent. And what's also sad that I found out, not from these groups, but from a bunch of women that had made TikToks that were, sorry, this part is going to get a bit graphic. These were women that were sex workers. Okay, they used to do sex work, or maybe they still do. What they said their demographic, their customers or clientele consisted of were a lot of married men. So you had many married men coming to these sex workers, and they would complain about their wives. They would tell these sex workers that my wife has let go of her body. It's hard now with the kids and everything. So it's so sad because I consider what these women have said about in these groups about their bodies changing and even their relationships tanking. There's a lot of posts like that where husband resentment it grows post labor. So a lot of women post labor, from what I've read, is they just end up resenting their husband. And I don't think it's because they want to, but it's because of these changes that have taken place. And I assume with hormones. And so, there's this stuff that's going on with the husbands cheating on their wives because of, these real changes. But it makes me sad because it's like, I saw one man on Instagram that did research on a woman's menstrual cycle. Like, he explained things that I didn't know about that. I didn't know these things about having your menstruation or whatever, and or your period, And so I didn't know these things, and he's over here talking about it, and he's doing it for his girlfriend. He's saying, I make sure I do this because her cycle is at this. And I'm like, what, girl, where did you find this guy? And so that's the thing. It's like, I wish these husbands would kind of do the same for their wives, in terms of, especially if they're wondering why their wives changed and they're going to the sex workers to complain. It's like, are you serious? Why don't you do research into what happens to a woman biologically post-labor, post-birth? Because some of it'll be made easier. You have to understand that she doesn't hate you because she wants to. Her body literally has changed. Her hormones have changed. And I read that women post-labor or post-birth, it takes a long time for them to come back to be feeling normal. I think up to a year or more, and it makes sense because there's just so many factors that can play a part into just giving birth, and just going into labor. Like I mentioned, that there are women that have experienced traumatic labors that were very difficult, and even pregnancy, the entire 9-month period was just a very brutal period, and it's like they're trying to recover from that. And then, of course, add on the brutal experience, the 9 months being hard, a traumatic labor, and then postpartum life with a baby that is not a sleeper. This baby is awake, so you are constantly sleep deprived. So there are so many relationships, I think, that are like that, where the woman is just dealing with these things, one thing after the other thing. And then, these men, they give up and they're like, oh, you've become hard and you become difficult and everything. And it's like, but you're not really taking into consideration all the things that she's gone through physically, and you want to do things. You want to engage in sexual activity with your partner, with your wife, but she's really recovering from these things. And why not just take time to understand what her body has gone through? And so, and then of course, I don't want to demonize men at all. Like, I want my channel to be a safe space for everybody. I feel like it is hard. I believe postpartum depression exists for both parents, for mothers way more, especially emphasized by the bodily changes. And then of course the fathers with all these new changes, that have taken place. There's no more time for self. You're sleep deprived because maybe you're the type of guy that is helping your wife. You take turns with her, and so you are dealing with a level of sleep depression, a certain level of sleep depression yourself. And then something that I know that I read somewhere was fathers that become insecure after having a baby, like they feel like they're going to fail because of past traumas or past parent dynamics, that played a part in how they were raised. So there's just you're dealing with insecurity, you're dealing with sleep deprivation, you're dealing with all these new changes, and then of course your relationship tanking. I know that the wife is going through her own hardship, and she's experiencing all these changes it's making things difficult. So I know that you're dealing with that too. It's really hard. And then also work. So maybe you're the guy because I read, there are men that are the sole providers of the household. So they have to go to work, and so they have to deal with it. So there's all these like different changes that have gone down, and it can be really just eating up within the man. So like, I feel like that is something that I'd like to consider. And even when I get married, these are all these things that I like to think about too as a wife, is all these changes. What are possible changes that can happen to me? And then what are possible changes that can happen to my spouse or partner? And then of course working to come together to kind of like overcome those difficulties together. And what was I going to say? Because I've read of women and men that were amazing, both men and women that have talked in these groups, and they've shared their lives, with the babies. And there are a lot of couples, few that they're doing really well. They're doing amazing. And I remember reading from one woman that was like, hey, you also gotta, put some sort of, I'm paraphrasing, but to put some sort of investment in your relationship, and that's what I'm doing. And, I'm doing my best to be there for my husband, because this post that she was commenting on was a woman that was deep in husband resentment. And not to blame her, because she's going through difficult things, but this woman and others were kind of like trying to help her too with that. But this woman that I read from, that I was like, I want to learn from her, she was saying that I was once there too, but like, you gotta like really like work on like, like this, you're part of this relationship too, and there's things that you can do to like help aid this. Now I feel like if I were to ever get to a place where I started to really resent my husband, because I don't want to be that wife, and not to shame other wives, I just want to be somebody that can like overcome that. And I have read from different stories from these groups of women experiencing that, but they didn't want to feel like that. They did not. They were sad. They were saying that we've grown distant, and I want to be there. I don't want to feel this way or whatever. And it makes me sad. But like, I think for me, I would definitely enter therapy. I know that my goal would be to take medication for sure for like my mental health stuff post-labor, because I'd imagine with several of my mental health conditions, there's a likelihood of them they can tank because of the bodily changes. So I'd have to be very careful, and I'd have to like really see a doctor and see therapists, to make sure that I can like get on some sort of meds to like keep me you know, balanced and in good health. And some women had talked about getting on some medication and how it helped them. It really did. It helped them get through their postpartum depression. And so I'm still learning, and I never imagined this video would be about like talking about babies and everything, but I guess this could be more of a return sit and chat with me. So I'm gonna do another video. I think I only have a little bit because I'm at the library and I have just a bit of time to kind of like chill and relax. Just a little bit more time. So anyway, see you in the next video. Bye-bye.